Welcome to our channel BritNews Update. Today's we have quite a stack of news, and all pointing towards the latest fiery clash of Prime Minister's questions, specifically the debate over the UK economy and key government policies, as reported by sources including GB News and Express.co.uk.
Yes, it was certainly a session focused heavily on performance, wasn't it? You had the leader of the opposition, Kemi Badenoch, really putting the pressure on Prime Minister Keir Starmer, especially regarding his government's economic track record since they took office.
And the reports from Express.co.uk show she really didn't hold back at all. Their coverage suggests Ms. Badenoch kicked off by claiming that, well, since Labour came in, inflation's nearly doubled, growth has halved, and unemployment surged. That's quite a stark set of figures to start with.
It is, yes. And the GB News transcript, it really highlights her focus shifting onto the national finances, too. She pointed out the government deficit, the gap between spending and income, is forecast to be $10 billion higher. And crucially, that's just since the last budget statement, not even the whole term. It felt like an attempt to show, well, recent worsening under this government.
Right. And she challenged him directly, didn't she? How could he claim the books were balanced with that increase? Express.co.uk even reported her calling him a coward, suggesting he was focusing on Liz Truss's past actions to avoid defending his own current record.
Yes, that coward line mentioned in the Express.co.uk report was pretty sharp. The GB News transcript actually quotes her saying he talks about Liz Truss because he's scared about talking about his record, what is happening to the economy out there. It really framed it as a battle over whose record was actually relevant today.
So, facing that kind of attack on the economy, how did the Prime Minister hit back?
Well, the Prime Minister, according to that GB News transcript, he countered by really focusing on job creation. He stated quite clearly 500,000 more people are in work since the general election. And then he tried to link this to specific government investments, things like the Strategic Defense Review, the Sizewell Project, social housing construction, and that $15 billion for local transport, framing them all as job-creating initiatives.
Okay, but he also seemed keen to sort of push responsibility for the current economic climate back onto the previous government.
Exactly. Reports from both GB News and Express.co.uk picked up on him arguing Labour had to fill a $22 billion black hole, basically a huge financial gap they inherited. He claimed his government has since stabilized the economy. And he pointed to, recent interest rate cuts and some growth figures from earlier in the year as his evidence for that.
Okay, moving on slightly from the broad economy, the winter fuel payment came up. Express.co.uk reported on what they called a U-turn here.
Ah, yes, that was quite a significant exchange. Mrs. Badenoch really challenged the Prime Minister on changing the policy, basically demanding he admit he'd made a mistake after, well, initially defending the old approach.
But the Prime Minister didn't see it that way, did he? He framed it differently.
He did.
Yeah.
The GB News transcript shows him saying he was really pleased we set out the threshold, which Express.co.uk notes is £35,000 specifically to make more pensioners eligible. And he explicitly tied the ability to do this to expand it to having, quote, stabilized the economy.
Right, but Express.co.uk details the opposition pressing him on where the money's coming from for this expansion, asking directly if it meant higher taxes for everybody.
And that's where it got a bit sticky for him. According to that Express.co.uk report, when he was asked point blank if this funding U-turn meant putting everybody taxes up, the Prime Minister did not rule out tax rises.
Okay.
And of course, that's a line the opposition immediately seized on.
Okay, and finally, there was the issue of the Mauritius Chagos Islands deal. Both Express.co.uk and the GB News transcript report Mrs. Badenoch questioning the cost, specifically asking why British taxpayers should foot a potential $30 billion bill, a figure she linked to possible tax cuts happening over in Mauritius because of the deal.
Yes, and the Prime Minister's defense, as laid out in the GB News transcript, was purely about strategy, really. He stressed that Diego Garcia, the island with the U.S. base, is a vital intelligence and strategic capability. He argued the negotiation was essential to sort out the legal uncertainty around the island's future to secure that base. He added it was welcomed by allies like the U.S. and NATO, and importantly, opposed by adversaries, Russia, China, Iran. The clear implication being that securing the strategic asset was the absolute priority, whatever the financial questions raised by the opposition were.
So quite a range covered there. The economic back and forth, that debate over the winter fuel payment U-turn and its funding, and then this complex international deal viewed through very different lenses, strategic need versus potential cost.
It definitely leaves you thinking, doesn't it? When you hear politicians presenting such starkly different views on the same economic facts or policy choices, what details or factors do you, listening now find most helpful in forming your own understanding.
Something to perhaps reflect on after hearing today's exchanges.
Goodbye. See you next video.